Rabbi Menachem Mendel Vukotsk once attended a wedding where he heard a young man playing the violin. He called to the violinist and asked him to play Kol Nidre. Hearing its somber, moving tones, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Vukotsk said, "Is it possible to do teshuvah even by hearing Kol Nidre played by a violin?" The story expresses something true for many of us. The melody of Kol Nidre calls out to us. The melody itself has its own intrinsic power to inspire us to self-transformation. The melody we use at BJ is the Ashkenazi tradition. The Sfardim and the Mizrahim have their own tune to Kol Nidre, which is more similar to the sound of their services. The Kol Nidre is first cited in writing in an 11th century text known as the Mahzor Vitri from France. And in that passage, it describes how the Kol Nidre should be sung and that it should be sung 3 times. It says the first time, it should be uttered very softly, like one who hesitates to enter the palace of a king, fearful to approach. The second time, it says it should be said louder. And the third time, even more loudly still, is one who is used to dwelling in the court like a friend. The Maharil, a rabbi from the 14th century, says that the Kol Nidre melody must be extended longer and longer. Why? To accommodate latecomers. I want to tell 2 stories about the transformative power of Kol Nidre. The first involves a 27-year-old German man who entered a synagogue in Berlin in the fall of 1913. He was not really a part of the praying community, and his appearance that night was the result of a life decision after agonizing debate. A few days earlier, that man had had a conversation with his mother. She said, "You want to be baptized?" He nodded his head. "Mother, here is everything," he said, pointing to a New Testament. "Here is the truth. The only way is Christianity." She asked, "Didn't you go to synagogue with Father and me, at Rosh Hashanah?" "Yes," he said, "and I will go on Yom Kippur as well. Until I convert, I am a Jew." This boy was Franz Rosenzweig, who was born in Kassel, Germany in 1886, the child of wealthy, acculturated Jews. Under the influence of his great-uncle Adam Rosenzweig, who was an artist and a learned Jew, Rosenzweig began to fast on Yom Kippur as a boy, unlike the rest of his nuclear family, and he had private lessons in Hebrew. He enrolled at the local university intending to study medicine, and then changed to philosophy. He came under the influence of others, his cousin, Hans Ehrenberg, who converted to Christianity, and a close friend, Eugen Rosenstock, who converted as well. Both tried to persuade Rosenzweig to convert to help himself obtain a teaching position. After months of deep conversations, Franz Rosenzweig decided to convert, but as a Jew, not as a pagan. So he went to synagogue on Kol Nidre and listened to the somber tune. And something entirely unexpected happened to Rosenzweig in synagogue that night. He felt a profound identification with the praying Jewish community. As he wrote to a friend, "After a prolonged, and I believe thorough self-examination, I have reversed my decision. I will remain a Jew." Franz Rosenzweig went on to become one of the most important Jewish philosophers of the 20th century. His philosophy was under the idea that he wanted to move those on the periphery of Jewish life to its center. Fast forward a few years, and we get to 1927. My grandparents, my mother's parents, Rose and Leo Wishnow, went on their first date to see Al Jolson in The Jazz Singer. It was the first talkie, as many of you may know, and Al Jolson plays Jakey Rabinowitz, a cantor's son. And Jakey disappoints his father by abandoning the world of synagogue music to become a jazz singer. At the end of the film, Jakey's father becomes ill. He can't sing Kol Nidre in the synagogue, so Jakey is faced with a choice. On the one hand, he can continue to perform in his jazz show that night as scheduled, or he could cancel the performance and chant Kol Nidre for his father. In the end, you will see in this clip I'm about to play that he cancels the jazz performance to fill in for his father. The movie had a tremendous impact on Jewish moviegoers in 1927, including my own grandparents. They saw in Jakey their own story of a mounting identity conflict between loyalty to the Jewish past on the one hand and Americanization on the other. The haunting strains of Kol Nidre symbolized the tug of tradition. Jakey's return to synagogue reassured Jewish audiences that Jewish tradition wouldn't be abandoned. I wonder, in what ways does Kol Nidre transform us? In what ways in general does the music of BJ transform us? Spur us on, inspire us to be better versions of ourselves, and bringing about the work of healing the world.